Let me put my fucking hair up. Okay. Do you not want to capture? Hello? Sec. Alright, we're back to this again. Alright. So, if we are looking at the overall Xeno timeline, right? As far as I can tell, it's going to be like you know, we have the beginning, right? This is actually so it's the normal timeline, right? If I could draw straight. Oops. All right. So timeline, right? Fuck, man. I need to move my keyboard. This is gonna get too much in the way. One sec. I have to do it like I'm actually drawing. I birthed her? Ah, yes, true. I will never hurt her, Caillou, do not worry. It's our child. I am simply moving her. Just moving her under my desk so I can actually draw. All right. So, from what I've gathered, this is just what I'm thinking at least, because they're never gonna give us concrete proof anyways, they're just gonna tease us. So, try to roughly lay things out. This would be the fucking beginning, right? This would be a fucking origin point right here. This, we can assume, or not XC, it's the fucking Xeno saga, right? It says Xeno Saga 1, 2, and then 3, right? Rex does have 3 kids, just only one of them was rebirthed at this point. So from what I think, at least. Let's see. Right. And then this was like what? Between this point right here was like 4,000 years or something, right? So the beginning of the fucking universe. Let's see. Origin. Let's see. Lost Jerusalem. Right. So at the fucking origin point, we have all of this shit, right? Xeno Gears? Xeno Gears is gonna be like way over here. So yes. Let me make another... I mean, I still know where it lies. And like the general story behind it, so it doesn't really matter. So... I don't want to do this. Actually, I know. How do I want to actually... Okay, actually I know what I'll do. I'm just gonna have to use multiple. So... Because I can't write straight. If I do it like this, I'm gonna be writing like this. Right? You know? Because like I'm at an angle, so when I write, if I were to write like my name, you know, it's sideways. Otherwise, I'd have to do it like this, which is hard for me. I always write sideways, so I tilt it so that it writes straight, right? So that when you see it, it's normal. Okay, so... You're fucking weird. Let's see. Oops. I need to write fucking solar. Which means we're gonna be zoomed. Oops. Worth. Happy. So... We don't know what the fuck goes on here, right? We know they discovered the Zohar on Earth, which is, you know, Lost Jerusalem. basically Earth becomes lost at some point within these years, right? We have no idea where Earth is because we as a society progressed far enough to like go fucking FTL and expand into space. So we're up here in fucking space. We don't know where we're fucking confused. We're like, where is Earth? Right? So all you basically need to know is that the Zohar, which is effectively a device that allows people to communicate with the upper domain, which in this case, the upper domain is fucking referred to as Udu. You know, upper domain, Udu. So the way the world in Xeno's saga, or the way the entire universe is set up, I could probably actually just find something better. Let me see. So we're gonna get really fucking confusing very quickly here. Because welcome to Xeno. So, what you need to know about the Zohar, right, is that we, as people, we live on this plane, the real number domain, right? When people die, they join the collective unconsciousness, which is just the collective of like all human souls, right? Above that is the fucking imaginary number domain, which I don't even really want to fucking get into. I'm gonna be real with you. And then at the top, we have Udu, which is the upper domain. And the upper domain relies on all of these lower domains to exist. So basically, God is right here. And without any of this, he would fail to exist. So, for now, the Zohar, which isn't even like listed here. So we have fucking Z. Let's just say this is the Zohar, okay? This allows people to access the upper domain, which is effectively the power of God. So when we found the Zohar on Earth, it gave humanity fucking the ability to tap into the collective unconsciousness, which is the UMN, which allowed for FTL travel. Which is why you see this shit like this. This basically, everything mankind knew from this point on was because we made contact with Udu. And you can think of the collective unconsciousness as like the internet, except FTL. So they used the UMN, the Unus Mundus network, which was a way that they found to tap into the collective unconsciousness to make FTL happen. And it was used for just everything. Passing information through and through and through, right? God, Xeno's so fucking stupid. That's basically all you need to know, though, is the Zohar, or, you know, Conduit, if you fucking are a Xenoblade fucking fanboy. The Zohar and the Conduit are literally the same thing. It's just a different name. So, yes, we use the afterlife to go FTL and do long distance space travel. Yes, we go into a separate dimension because we're in the real number domain. We go into the collective unconsciousness domain to travel between point A and point B, right? Like, obviously you could see, like, person, you know, it transfers. So that's how we unlocked FTL, and that's basically what the Zohar allowed us to do. And everything else between this 4,000 years, because we had the ability to access Udu, we lost Earth. It's a question mark. So everything on Earth is pretty much one-to-one what happened, quote-unquote, what happened on our Earth. And this matters because the entire plot of Xenosaga is essentially biblically related. So fucking Jesus Cristo fucking and Mary existed. This is important because this is the core of like the entirety of Xenosaga. So all you need to know is that Jesus Cristo and Mary existed. So then going into Xenosaga, we follow Xion, who, with the help of Kevin, they created Cosmos. Right? They created Cosmos. So, Cosmos' purpose, right? So, at some point, which I mean, I guess it's revealed in Xenosaga 3, but basically there are these aliens. Fucking aliens, right? That exist in another realm that we cannot access, right? Which, as far as I know, it's the imaginary number domain. I think. I could be wrong. It's been a while. But they exist in a realm that we cannot access. Basically, they exist in the imaginary number domain because they are the souls of the people who refuse to join the collective unconsciousness. So instead of joining the collective unconsciousness when they die, they're like, nah, fuck that, chief. We're gonna go here. And we're gonna exist in a realm above the collective unconsciousness because we were too afraid. They didn't want to give up their individuality to join the collective unconsciousness. Because they didn't want to give up their individuality when they died, they essentially existed in a different plane. And the thing with this is, they can attack us from this plane and fucking murder everyone. Right? However, we can't do shit to them. They're fucking invisible and vulnerable, etc., etc. So, Cosmos is created because she has the ability to bring these entities by force into the real number domain. So Cosmos exists simply to pull shit from this domain that we can't touch into our domain. And therefore, she can deal with all the fucking gnosis. So like, that is Cosmos's entire purpose. Is essentially tying together these fucking dimensions. So Xion and her massively abusive boyfriend Kevin, they create Cosmos. And basically, if we're talking on like a universal scale, which I'm going to, and I'm definitely not going to... Yeah, this is explained in Xenosaga. This is all Xenosaga. Right? So basically, if we are talking about, let me see. If we're talking about on a time scale here, realistically, if this is the beginning, right? And let's say this is like 4,000 years, right? This is a 4,000 year gap. Xeno Saga happens here. Like, oops. Here and fucking here. Like, I can't make it small enough. Like, you can just essentially assume Xeno Saga just happens at this point in time. 4,000 years from this. And presumably I want to get this on a smaller scale, right? So at this point, I want to make this shorter. You can go here, here, and this will be like a tiny ass bullet point, right? So we have Xeno Saga. All three of them happen right here. And then let me just do it here. And then presumably, because actually, we know what to do. Let me get another one. So here's one, right? Here's two. And here's the thing. I think from what we know now from this DLC, this right here is pre-Xenoblade 1. And then from here, it goes to Xenoblade 3, or Xeno Saga 3. Right? And then Xenosaga 3 happens. And then some unknown period of time takes place. Right? And then Xenoblade 1 happens. Well, I guess that's not right to say. So some period of time happens. And then we get this. These are the separated worlds. So Klaus, right? He gets a hold of the Zohar, which in Xenoblade is called the Conduit. The same one that is presumably found here at the beginning of fucking timeline, right? So the Zohar goes through all of this shit in Xenoblade, or Xenosaga. And the reason this is placed here is because of the events of Xenoblade 3. So in Xenosaga, there is a dude, Dimitri, right? He is the father of one of the main characters and one of the main antagonists for 2 of the 3 games. Because his children, which were fucking twins, like conjoined twins essentially, that were created to use the power of the Zohar to contact Udo. So Junior and Albedo existed here, but they were able to make contact with Udo without, like, the Zohar explicitly. This, in turn... Oops. This corrupted Albedo. So he's the fucking antagonist for the first 2 games. And his twin, Junior... Basically, Junior, he can control his aging. So he looks like he's 13, but he's like 8,000 effectively. Like, not actually 8,000, but he can be any age, right? Albedo is invulnerable. He can't die. The events predating Xeno Saga, like right here-ish, is like 14 years before Xeno Saga. This is when like Junior and Albedo were using the Zohar with all of like their clones to contact Udo. However, Junior was like, yo, some shit ain't right. And he cut Albedo off because they had like a link between them that allowed them to essentially share consciousness effectively. And Junior severed that. So Albedo was like, what in the fuck did you just do, homie? And it let him get corrupted by Udo. And so basically all Albedo ever wanted from this point was to die. Because he couldn't die. Right? So Albedo basically sets into motion, or well, he's the fucking main part of Xenoblade or Xeno Saga 1 and 2. Right? Dimitri, like I said, is their father. This dude is mentioned in Xenoblade 3, right? And where we just were was the Xenoblade 1 world before Klaus fucked with it. So Dimitri and Vector, which Vector is the company... Oops. Vector is the company that fucking Shion and Cosmos are from, that they work for, right? And these were mentioned in the DLC just now. So the existence of Vector and Dimitri implies that they are in the same universe as Xeno's Saga is, right? It just happens before Xenoblade Chronicles 1. Because at this point, the Zohar is still needing to be found. We're still needing to find the fucking Zohar and all of that shit, right? So... So because of that, we somehow get the Zohar at this point. We don't fucking know how. But effectively, the events of Xeno's Saga... So the time period between this, I have no fucking clue, right? This could be fucking 20,000 years, for all we know. We have no idea the time between these two events. We have no fucking clue. All we know is that, based on what we just saw, these two have to happen in this order, no matter what. Because Dimitri is the final boss of Xeno Saga 3. Right? So he exists in Xeno Saga 3, which implies his existence in the same world that Klaus is from. So if Dimitri and Klaus live in the same fucking world, right? They have to be right here in the pre-XC one, right? Which connects it to Xeno Saga 3. So before, this is like Klaus exists, Xeno Saga 3 happens. No. Well, I mean, technically, but not in Xeno Saga itself, no. So the whole point of Xeno Saga 3, this has to get its own fucking bullet point, right? Xeno Saga 3, there is this thing called the... Hello? It's the fucking eternal recurrence, right? Which, much like Xenoblade 3, has the fucking eternal flow, So this is like a question mark, are they connected? But the eternal recurrence, right? This equals the reset of everything. So basically, you could think of the fucking entire universe as resetting itself over and over and over after a certain point. So like they'll go to a time, like, so say they go here, the fucking universe ends, right? And instead of it just ending, it goes back and repeats effectively. Like it's destroyed, but then we don't really know if it's destroyed here and then goes to a different dimension that is identical, right? That'll get destroyed and then so on and so forth. Like it could just, the eternal recurrence is likely just doing this, right? It's just, there's a timeline, it ends, it dimension hops. Timeline ends, dimension hops, right? That is what essentially the eternal recurrence is made to be. The whole point of Xenosaga 3 is to stop this. And at the end of Xenosaga 3, we do not stop it. We just say this is the timeline. Let's say the eternal recurrence was supposed to happen here, right? At the X. We simply delayed it. It's like, so we delayed it to a later point. The eternal recurrence is still going to happen, but it's happening later than it was expected to happen. So we didn't actually save anything. All we did was delay the inevitable recurrence by the end of Xenosaga 3. And this works out where by the end of Xenosaga 3, Cosmos is just like in fucking space. So Cosmos is just like floating into space because at the end of Xenosaga 3, their entire goal is to search for Lost Jerusalem. So this happens for like an unknown period of time. They lost access to the upper domain with what they did. So the upper domain, the UMN, and the imaginary number domain, it's cut off. We now live strictly in the real number domain. So this is all we have access to. We lost access to all of this because of the end of Xenosaga 3. So we can no longer FTL, which means we can no longer search for Lost Jerusalem like within the lifetimes of the characters of Xenosaga 3. So does ER restart at point 2 now instead of point 1 in each dimension? That is the presumption. But because it's not a repeating cycle, it is a destruction of it and restarting it elsewhere, right? So this happens at some point in this time, right? We don't know where. We don't know. So Xenosaga was planned to be 6 games, but it only became 3, and they had to rush everything, right? So realistically, Xenosaga 4 through 6 could just have been some other shit. So all that really matters is that in Xenosaga, this is like the entire point of Xenosaga. We just delay the end of everything. And my presumption here is we found the Zohar and then fucking K, it's gonna be Klaus, right? Klaus uses the power of the Zohar to do fucking... Oops. He splits the world, right? And this becomes Xenoblade 1 and 2. Right? So that's where this comes from. All that we're aware of is Xeno Saga happens at some point before Xenoblade, but in the same universe now. Because they literally tied in Xenoblade and Xenosaga. Then Xenoblade and 1 and 2 happen, right? But then they meet up at a point. And then Xenoblade 3 happens. The problem here is that this happens, right? And then this is just like question fucking mark. And Mobius just comes the fuck back after Xenoblade 3. So then we have the DLC. The world is the planets. He could have, like, as far as we know, Klaus split the literal world into two different worlds. The world of XC1 and 2. But then they combine, or rather, right? So those happen. Oops. So the whole point of Xenoblade 3 is to stop the worlds from rejoining, right? So Mobius essentially did this. Like, Mobius's whole point was stopping the worlds from rejoining. Or, well, yeah. Let me fucking... whatever, right? I guess I should leave it as if Mobius. There's no point in... Where's my pen? Yeah, so we beat Mobius and the world rejoins, right? Here's the ibuprofen. It's gone. So the world rejoins, and this is what confuses me, because time happens, and then we get the DLC. Which... I don't know, it's hard to know. Like, I don't know where this DLC lies. Because this DLC kind of makes sense both before and after Xenoblade 3. The problem is, in the DLC, how before? N. N. How does N exist? So... the whole thing is... the planets... basically, Ionos, the planet you're on in 3, is not really like a real fucking planet, right? It is just the Mobius being like, yep, we're just gonna fucking quote unquote combine the two worlds, but we're gonna keep everything as if they were like, as if all the people existing on them still existed here instead of like the world resetting. Yeah, it's hard to know. Like, this shit could literally be right here or right here. Because Mobius exists, N exists, Z exists. Because at this point, at the end of XC1 and 2, pretty much because, well, in Xenoblade fucking 2, right? Logos and Numa, right? They're fucking dead. Dead. So all that's left is fucking Ontos. Right? And Ontos goes on to do the fucking DLC in 3. Except somehow they're not dead. And instead of being dead, they also come with so I have to make this sense. So I'll do Logos, Numa, and Ontos, right? Basically, Ontos goes to the XC1 world, and then they fuse. These two go to the XC2 world, right? And then they fuse. So when they come back to XC3, these are presumed gone. Like, these are presumed gone, and Ontos is just missing, right? So they're like fucking question mark, except then the DLC happens. So like, yeah, how they all, like, Logos was killed. We fucking destroyed him at the end of 2. Numa sacrificed herself at the end of 2. So these two are technically just gone. But they're not. Apparently. And apparently whatever happened in this time frame, it's just question mark. They now exist, and I can't tell if it's like a fucking retcon or some other multiverse bullshit. But basically, as far as we always knew, The series went like this. Xeno Saga to Xenogears, and then at some point, oops, we got Xenoblade. This is like as far as we truly know as things happening. But yeah. All of the bullshit I'm explaining is literally just to say this. This is how the thing works. This is how the timeline is. Like, there's so much I'm glossing over because, like, dude, each of the Xeno sagas alone is like a 60 fucking hour game, you know? Literally biblical space operas spanning multiple decades at this point. Like, no cap. As far as we know, the timeline could just be this. Let's do fucking like... I'm just gonna do XC0. Actually, see, that's the other thing. Okay, before I go on to more, there's a problem here. I forgot about X, just like them. So they mentioned... Oops. They mentioned Project Exodus. Project Exodus is what starts Xenoblade X. So if we are going from this, let me just wipe it. Let me make this. Oops. So if we do this, time. Let's just do fucking 0, right? This is the fucking beginning of everything. You go here. We have Saga. You go here. We have... I'm gonna do B. Before Xenoblade Chronicles, right? These two happen simultaneously, but in different worlds, right? And because we know the before Xenoblade happens, like, in the middle of Saga, let's just say 3. Just so that's pretty, you know, it's at some point between Xenosaga 1 and 3 that it ties into before Xenoblade. And that happens, world splits. And then X is like... let me... this reconnects and gives us 3. So my assumption is that Project Exodus just happens and it's just like, here's XTX just chilling. Yeah, like the other way I also think of it is we have Saga, right? So we have the Saga timeline. And we go to Xenoblade Chronicles. And fucking 1, 2, 3. Right? So we go to Xenoblade 1, 2, 3. And at some point, I think that maybe the Eternal Recurrence happens and Xenosaga jumps to another timeline, right? And then this happens like that. Because, like, it can all stem from the same universe. But it's like, it's hard to make this make sense. Yeah, and then this would be like, yeah. So like my assumption is ultimately this makes the most sense. Potentially. Like, that makes sense, but whether it's confirmed or not, well, we'll never know. Need my help? This is not Omerta. Someone please help you? No help. You would really split it off again? So what, it'd be another Saga and then Gears? So this is just the Eternal Recurrence happening? Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, though. Katana. Yeah. But I mean, the thing with Xenogears, it was planned to be part 5 of 6 Xeno, like, series. So, like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? The only thing we knew was that this was Gears. Whether this shit splits into different timelines and stuff, I mean, who knows, but... But then there's also the assumption that XS1, 2, 3, XC1... Like, this could just be all-encompassing Xenosaga, quote-unquote, right? Like, this could just be Xenosaga. Because it is 6 games. The reason that this feels likely, that, you know, this timeline, the one I already made, this is likely because of one stupid fucking thing they showed, dude. One fucking thing. Just one. Just one. Not even the flashbacks, dude. So, at the ending of Xeno Saga, there is this. So the whole point is to find Lost Jerusalem. The assumption is that Cosmos is the blue fucking light floating towards what is presumed to be Lost Jerusalem. And the reason that this makes sense, this is Saturn, right? I'm not crazy. Is this supposed to be Saturn because of the rings? I just saw this. This makes sense. Oh, yeah, here we are.
The universe desires it. Finished.
Basically, Cosmos is fucking floating.
Sleep well.
Cosmos is literally floating for an unknown period of time towards what is presumed to be Lost Jerusalem, which is this, but yeah. I need the fucking... Because it showed Saturn, right? Although there's no rings. But it showed Saturn. Like, it's basically this from a different perspective. Or Jupiter. I mean, yeah. It could be any number of fucking things. But yeah, the assumption is that, like, what is this? Why is this here? Like, is this just a ha-ha Xenoblade and Xenosaga are connected? Or like, what the fuck? I mean, yeah, we're still on this. We're trying to, you know, talk about Xeno. So it's like, is this the, like, original Xenosaga timeline? Was the eternal recurrence that happened, like, was there multiple eternal recurrences and that led to Xeno, like, X into Xenogears? Or, like, are they somehow connected? Like, yeah. Well, if Earth is Lost Jerusalem, the assumption is that it had been, like, an unknown period of time and Cosmos was just floating through space for fucking ever. And then was floating towards Lost Jerusalem. Because it's the last game. It's meant to just, like, be there. It's like, okay, well, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. We don't fucking know. But if that is Lost Jerusalem, and they're essentially saying fucking Ionos is Lost Jerusalem, that doesn't make sense. Because they weren't on Lost Jerusalem when the fucking split happened, right? So it's like, did it become Lost Jerusalem? Like, question mark? I mean, yeah, it could just be a teaser for Xenoblade 4 or, you know, whatever the fuck they're gonna do, but like... That shit's weird, Chief. That... Yeah, suddenly Xenosaga 4. I mean, like, yeah, maybe. It could just be like... you have Xenosaga, Xenoblade, and then back to Xenosaga. And then whatever, and then whatever, and then we're at Gears. I don't fucking know, man. This shit hurts my fucking brain, dude. The problem is there's no way of knowing, because they'll never confirm or deny. Like... yeah, there are planets, yeah. But it's like they can never just like straight up confirm, because Xenosaga rights are held by Bandai Namco, Xenogears rights are still held by Square Enix, and Xenoblade is fucking Nintendo. So like they can never truly like confirm or deny like any connection to their previous games. The best they can do is give us little hints like they have been and piss us off. Is it sure the new planet after Earth is what was split instead of Earth, considering the Zohar? I mean, it could be Lost Jerusalem, but you know, no, we have no way of knowing. The problem is, the reason that doesn't make sense though, is because, what's it called? Where was it? Oh, it was here and I removed it. The DLC of 3, like I said, it mentioned Dmitry fucking Yudiev, or whatever the fuck, right? Which is Xenosaga. But it also mentions the fucking Exodus project, the Project Exodus, which is Xenoblade X. So this is essentially tied in by 3, or well, the DLC, right? So it goes Saga 1, 2, and then this fits here, and then 3, and then Chronicles split 1, 2, fucking rejoin 3, right? Basically, it confirmed that Saga and X were in the same universe, but by that logic, it also confirms Chronicles, or well, just normal Xenoblade Chronicles, not X, right? 1 through 3. Because, and from the DLC is what made this known. I don't know, dude. The DLC literally put this shit into our head. The DLC made this known, which means that this happens before the end of Xenosaga 3. The stuff that would lead to Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, I guess, Klaus's bullshit exists at this point in time. He, like, maybe Klaus himself doesn't exist, right? But, like, this is the question mark. Because Dmitry is still alive, and Project Exodus is quote-unquote happening. So, like, from this, we're just gonna split into XCX. and then 3 happens, and then from there we know Chronicles happens. Like, it makes sense that it's all one timeline, but it does not make sense that they are on Lost Jerusalem. Because Dimitri... What if Chronicles is an ER loop? I mean, yeah, I've considered that too. Like, it could always just be eternal recurrence, right? That's why we're going with this. Like, at some point, we know everything that happens in the Xenoverse is the same universe. It is the same universe, but the question is, because eternal recurrence is a thing, they can say that it's connected to Saga and like everything is connected, but it's just a different recurrence. Like, we could just have one here, and then we could have another one here, you know? Like, they could just all be recurrences, and then we could just have shit like this. Fucking Xenogears, and then Xeno question mark, right? Yeah, so like, it could just be like this, and just fucking be eternally recurring, right? We don't fucking know. But yeah, it's split into 2 because of X's existence. That's the thing. Yeah, I think Conduit and Saga Zohar being the same make a lot of sense. So it's like, what is the time frame between... there's so much fucking shit, dude. Yeah, most likely. That's why I think like this one just kind of makes sense, like right here. And then Gears is fucking question marked out my ass. Because XCX existing and what it's doing implies something different from what happens in like Chronicles itself, right? So it's like, this existing implies 2 universes, right? 2U. So it is most likely the second, or like the eternal recurrence that would happen either after this. It's like if this eternally recurrences, right? Like if at the end of Xenoblade 3, we hit fucking eternal recurrence. And it just hits here. And then the recurrence happens and fucking it goes into Cross. Or not Cross, X. Yeah, we're doing math homework. Well, I mean, if the eternal recurrence still happens, it's not necessarily going back to Saga, it's literally going to a reset into... They go on. So what would it be then? Would it fucking be like... Yeah, it disappeared in 2. Yeah, X is meant as Cross in JP, that's why I'm saying Cross. Yeah, Xeno's fucked, dude. I mean, yeah, it's like fucking 2 decades. And all we get are crumbs that help us tie it together. Because they just can't confirm it. They can get fucking close, but they can't fucking confirm it. Because yeah, as far as I'm concerned, they have confirmed this being a canon timeline. But because of the events in Cross, it has to be a different timeline. I mean, yeah. I mean, Gears was planned to be like the 5th entry in like their whole fucking overall Xeno verse. So it's like, fuck, for all we know, we could just be right here and we're chilling. Right? We still got all this shit to go. And then whatever the fuck this would be. Or we could just be like, right here. Or fuck, we could have jumped even. Hell, we could have fucking Cross right here. Who knows? I mean, they do fucking X2. And it confirms it's in its own little universe that's also part of everything. So it goes here, some shit. And then we're just like, question marks? I don't know, man. Well, yeah. It's a different timeline, but X happened just differently to match the 2XX versions. So the whole thing with X is Project Exodus, right? This gets mentioned, you know, right here. So I'm just gonna use S, C, and then right here, this is where Project Exodus gets mentioned, right? Yeah. But this is mentioned here. So they were already fucking zooming out, right? So this is X. These connect, and this continues, or question marks, right? Yeah. So like, what do you think the Project Exodus in this one is different than this one? Yeah, like it seems calm. That's the thing. So it's like, does this lead to some like fucking XCX2 and this one leads to fucking that? Like, I don't know. All I know is they essentially tried to tie in Project Exodus, which is a problem. Looks like the Yomi equation to find the timelines of lore. I mean, it basically is, yeah. But I mean, ultimately, unless we get more, we're kind of just still chilling at the point of what the fuck is going on. Yeah, since Earth Go Boom. It's alright, we just have to wait another like 5 years and then maybe Takahashi will give us a slight crumb. Yeah, like there's too much bullshit, and I'm pretty sure none of this, like, nothing makes sense unless you're Takahashi. Dude probably just has everything in his head. He's like, I have this entire series planned for the next 80 years. X is just a simulation. I mean, yeah, maybe. Didn't it say like the space around Mira was like tiny or some shit? So like it's its own little fucking like pocket planet type bullshit. Or am I fucking misremembering? Hmm. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. That is a possibility. X is just such an anomaly in everything. Mm-hmm. Which is why Riku's the Dark Overlord. The next name, or the next Xeno series, is gonna be called Xenopon. And it's gonna be all about Nopon. Dude, I swear to God, Riku's the fucking puppeteer. He's gonna be the Xehanort. We've literally been through so many games. It's been 2 decades, decades, and Riku is actually going to be the one who orchestrated everything that happened in every Xeno game, and they're all going to be completely and utterly connected. And we're going to have to kill all the Nopon. Hey, Winter. Yeah. Cause like, damn, dude, fucking Riku's still alive and shit. Big chillin'. Yeah. That's bugged. Weird. I feel like maybe. The real thing is we saw M when they finally showed what all happened in the city. They showed M, and that's like the only time we saw her. That in itself is fucking weird. Oh, was she? Yeah. So the other thing is, how are Logos and Numa still existing? That's what I want to fucking know. But wasn't Logos and Numa destroyed in 2? And so what, they essentially just recreate the cores? Like Origin recreates the cores, question mark? And puts it in fucking the 2 lucky 7s, essentially? Yeah. How so? I mean, the core crystals, like the processors, are there, are they not? I mean, yeah, that's the implication. They're standing for alpha. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's basically what I got from the ending. And thus the DLC was a prequel. Same. That would have been nice. They knew each other, yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna knock at shit until then. I mean, is it even gonna be a Blade game though? Like, is it really just, oh, Xenoblade Klaus arc is done, next arc? Mm-hmm. Boy. Yeah, we'll see. Xenoblade Chronicles A. And then we're gonna get a Xenoblade Chronicles for every letter of the alphabet until X. It's gonna live long past Takahashi's life. Yeah, assuming it's a trilogy. What if the commercial success of Xenoblade means Nintendo greenlights a fucking like 8-part series? I don't know, man. There's too much. Oh god. I won't even be alive for that. I just wanted to beat the DLC. Now I'm especially tired. Yeah. Yup. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I'm gonna lose. Yeah, I'm hungry. I need to eat. I just used all of my remaining brain cells. And I'm gonna continually use them in my dreams. Yeah. Anyways. Have a good night. Should be streamed tomorrow anyways. Since it's Monday. I also need water. Yeah, the eternal reoccurrence is happening. Oh my god. Okay.